Listen, I've said it before and I'm gonna say it again. Heavenly Delusion is the craziest anime you can watch this season. And this episode baited me hard, and I was never more happy to be baited than when I realized it was all but a dream, or a hallucination in this case. So episode 7 decides to throw our characters in a classic Resident Evil situation. Underground parking lot, you know, I'm just waiting for zombies or monsters to start swarming them. And they ultimately start popping these egg sacks, and it's gross, it's disturbing. And what ends up happening is this swarm of mechanical, alien-like beings start chomping on our two main characters. One loses an arm, then loses a foot, and as much as normal situations you would say, oh, there's no way this can be happening, you know, this has gotta be a dream. The entire episode building up to that moment literally had characters show off their prosthetic limbs, saying, hey, this place is messed up, they experiment on us, and this is why I got a hook for a leg. So losing a leg or losing an arm to me said, oh my god, they're about to put these characters through absolute hell, someone will save them, and we're gonna experiment on them. And then to just see how it was actually a hallucination from probably staring into this monster's eyes for too long. That was one of the most effective bait and switches I have experienced in so long, and the fact that even when it appears to all be a dream, the fact that the uncertainty of who we're interacting with is just as frightening as characters seemingly losing limbs, this show is an absolute gem right now. Full live reaction to this wonderful episode is available on my Patreon if you do want to see my full uncut thoughts. This episode literally had me jumping out of my chair, like it was... I can't believe how effective it was. And I think what's brilliant is, like, had they just started the episode or just jumped right into that, I probably would have second guessed it a bit more. But literally, it is so brilliant that you have like these protesters and this group of people trying to go up against what, I don't know, are we calling it a cult? Are we calling it a mad scientist loony bin? We don't know. And initially, when they get into the parking lot there, the parking garage, literally Maru's like, yeah, I don't trust this. They could easily be setting us up. They could be knocking us out. And I was like, that's right. They are kind of creepy. Like, why would they let them do that? And then no, seriously, they seemingly let this all just seem normal. Like, hey, we got doctors apparently chopping people into hundreds of bits and hooking them up to machinery. And that machinery is apparently wishing for death, but is kept alive. You're showing that if you go in with an injury to this doctor, apparently you'll leave, even if you say you don't want it, with prosthetics that you didn't want. So the idea of not ripping out a throat, not ripping out, internal organs, instead, no, ripping off Kiru's arm, or biting off half of the foot, those are all things that can easily be replaced seemingly in this world. And it was such an effective cliffhanger in a way, right? Because I was expecting them to end the episode like that. I didn't know how much time we had left on the time bar, and to me I was like, oh, they're totally gonna screw us like this. And to see what they're able to do in a way of, sometimes when things are just a vision or they're all in the head, sometimes you say, oh man, it would have been so much more interesting if they kept it there instead of baiting us. But no, I am happy. These characters are going to be going through absolute hell with whatever this arc is. The fact that seemingly the doctor that is kind of doing all the craziness here is asking for you to go kill someone else. I'm going to assume it's the creature, the human that's hooked up into so many machines. Honestly, kind of gave me Mass Effect 2 vibes. There's a DLC, I forget what it's called, but one of the DLCs of Mass Effect 2 is you basically go and you see someone who's hooked up as a machine and just... literally, it's such a depressing and just absolutely heart-wrenching DLC. But that story in general kind of reminded me of what I'm seeing here, like something begging for death, but seemingly is the farthest thing from being alive anymore, but, just can't escape the fate it's been given. And the idea, I think one of the more frightening characters you can ever give is a doctor who experiments, or a doctor who performs surgery, and you can't tell, are they good, are they bad, and what is their end result with whatever they're doing right now. It is going to be incredibly worrisome every time we focus on either Kiru or Maru when they're walking through this building, when they're interacting with anyone, or something attacks them, because I'm waiting for someone to get experimented on. I'm waiting for someone to have their head open again and brain swapped. We don't know, and honestly, it was literally a coin toss for me. I was like, this kind of feels like, man, these characters are gonna jump us, because honestly, whenever I see characters who are talking like, hey, this is who we want you to fight, or maybe this is who we're rising up against, I mean, seriously, as far as I know, they're working for the people they're talking about how they hate them, right? So we just don't know, and that's the kind of like the thriller aspect about this show. It really feels like the tea kettle is about to go off, like it's boiling, it's rumbling, it's just about ready, but it keeps you simmering for so long. So when something like seeing a character's limbs get cut off happens, yeah, it definitely shakes you, because you're thinking, okay, even if you missed the first shot, the second shot, it's point blank, it's not even working. Why the hell are they metal teeth? Like, what are we looking at? This episode was hands down one of the most exciting, despite being a pretty simple episode for a majority. Cute moments too, like, hey, this is how you write on the door, you don't want to misrepresent, you know, saying you're gonna eat them, you know, you're trying to say that these monsters might eat you. The whole idea of who's gonna get the most fish, because they're all different sizes. You get all these little basic moments. I'm thinking, man, they're kind of stupid though, aren't they? They're sitting in the middle of the road in the apocalypse. Oh, they're actually trying to lead the people to them. Actually pretty clever. Big story time. Okay, this is all well and good. And then by the end of the episode, I say, what in God's nation are we dealing with here? Because the egg sacs themselves are creepy enough when they explode and they're all bloody, but the fact that you see these, like, I don't know, I'm thinking, are we in The Last of Us with, like, creatures attached to the wall and they're about to break free and attack us? Like, I thought we were dealing with a Resident Evil situation where something would start swarming us. There'd be a lot of them and we'd have to flee or something, and then maybe the people upstairs would shut the door or something. Who knows what they're doing, right? And I just love the fact that this show is so unapologetically insane, right? It just knows what it's doing, and it makes you second guess every single thing that you see. And you don't know if the mystery you're focusing on even is a mystery, and when it seemingly is, it still ends up going in places you don't quite expect, right? And this show is amazing. I honestly think it's one of the absolute best of this season, and from what I've seen of this year so far, is one of my personal top picks. It would easily go in a top 10 of the year right now, if you ask me, and depending on how the rest of the year progresses, might even say a top 5. I'm loving what I'm seeing. I love production IG, what they're doing with the beautiful aesthetic. Like, every time you focus on the wide shots of this world, you say, yeah, that's a ruined post-apocalyptic environment, but damn if the background art doesn't make it pop out. If there's no monsters running around, who wouldn't want to just explore the buildings and see a lost culture and what's happened, right? I love the fact that this show knows what it's doing, and the fact that the character bonds, just the idea of, like, clearly thinking, you know, this is my sister's body, I'm clearly a boy, this is how I feel. But a character like Maru, I mean, if you're standing in front of him naked, I mean, yeah, he's gonna be taking that mental image later, especially when you have to sleep this close together. There's actual character bonds being built alongside this mystery, and whether we focus on the facility with this human experimentation seemingly going on with these kids, or we get an episode like this that's all focused on the, what the hell are we seeing? Why is this world currently like this? And why do characters look like characters? Why do characters have abilities that seemingly can tap into monsters' hearts and crush them? We don't know, but that's the thrill of this. I truly think this show is an absolute masterpiece, and I know I'm not alone feeling that, but let me know what you're thinking down below, especially with what that shocking moment did to you. Did you see it coming, or did it just completely shake you like it did me? Let me know down below. Drop a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. Also, be sure to ring that bell, of course, so you can get notified when I upload on the channel. And like I mentioned, we do have a full live reaction available on my Patreon, and while you're there, you can also get a video shout-out, like Daniel Darby, John Madigan, and Danny0018 are getting today. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.